Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. September 20th, 2017.
Let me ask you this. Is it time to ditch the A to F grading system? I don't know how it was when you went to school, but when I went to school, right, you did really well, you got an A. You did pretty good, you got a B. You know, you did okay, you got a C. You really didn't do that well, but it wasn't a failure, you got a D. And if you just bombed, it was horrible, you failed, you got an F. And I remember getting my report card. It was a big thing. My dad would go over my grades. And generally, he didn't want any C's or D's. And he would like to see more A's than B's. But, you know, if I got a lot of B's and a few A's, it was okay. But he would prefer to have more A's than B's. Now, apparently, I swear to you, there is now a massive push to get rid of this traditional grading system. And in San Francisco, in California, but it's also now a movement growing across the country. And yes, it is coming here to the People's Republic of Massachusetts. There is now a growing consensus across California, but among some of these school reformers, progressives, that the grades A through F are outdated. And so now private high schools are now seeking to change the grading system. They don't want any more A's or B's or C's, D's or F's. They want to replace them with transcripts of each student that have sort of a narrative. They want teachers to write a narrative that provides details about the student's achievements. So, according now to Kate Reeser, she's the director at San Domenico School. This is just outside of San Francisco. The grading system is broken, she says. And so now there is a new school of thought in education when it comes to grading. And they want to get rid of the concept of letter grades entirely. And they say that instead of having students, you know, who just want to get A's or B's or whatever, now there is more than 100 schools across the country participating in the Mastery Transcript Consortium. It is a new teaching model, I swear to you, that seeks to evaluate students on a one-by-one basis in which the teachers provide for them a narrative. So, for example, you will no longer get, as Reeser puts it, instead of a B or a C, it would look more like a narrative. So in particular, for example, little Johnny. Well, little Johnny doesn't really know his math, but that's okay, because little Johnny is a good boy. Little Johnny listens in school. Little Johnny is smart. Johnny's a smart boy, and he's very friendly with the teacher, and so he's got other skills that recommend him. Or let's take little Jenny. Little Jenny, maybe English is a second language for her because she's whatever, an illegal or the parents are illegals. However, so she can't read or write that well in English. However, little Jenny shares. She's a great sharer. She's clearly a bright girl with a lot of potential. And I like her. She's one of the very good social skills. So look at her social skills, look at her ability to cooperate, look at her in terms of maybe her scientific abilities, but on reading and writing, not so much. Now, so they want to replace grades with these teacher narratives. Now, I am telling you, it's taking off in California. They're going to try it here in Massachusetts. So far, it's in private schools. They're not going to do this for now in public schools, but you can guess where the trend is going to go. If it starts private, it's eventually going to seep into the public school system. Now, a couple of things need to be said, and then I want to throw it open to you. 617-266-6868. What's wrong with the grading system? Like, have you noticed now in our country and in our society, it's almost like a revolution is afoot. Everything has to be changed and transformed. Everything. We're always having to reinvent the wheel. Okay, I get it. There is grade inflation. That's true. So the way to correct it is just don't inflate the grades. Make an A mean what it used to mean, and a B and a C and a D or whatever. That's point number one. Point number two. How is a college admissions, how is a college supposed to evaluate students? There's no GPA. There's no, seriously. I mean, how is a college supposed to know if a student, I don't know, is proficient in math, is proficient in reading, is proficient in writing, is proficient in history, is proficient in geography, is proficient in, I don't know, physics or chemistry or biology? I don't care if the child is a good sharer or a good person, or you think has good social skills, or you think is naturally intelligent. I want to know, how did they perform in these courses and in these classes, relative in comparison to their peers? Now, as somebody who was a professor at McGill, who has been in the higher education system, they get so many applications. And I'm not just talking about McGill, colleges in general. Let me tell you how it works. This is so unrealistic. This is so insane. It's not even funny. At the admissions office, they barely got 15 seconds to look at each application. I mean, there's so many of them. So what you do is you grab one file, you go, okay, you put it in one pile. Is that the pile that has promise, or is that an outright rejection? So they basically got 10, 15 seconds. They look at it, they go, okay, GPA, pretty good. Extracurricular, okay, yeah, did some other, extracurricular activities. Looks good. Okay, you know what? Looks promising. Bang. That's in the A pile. 1.8 GPA. No, forget it. Okay, dismissed right away. If they got to start reading these 3, 4, 5, 6-page narratives, it's going to clog the entire admissions process. I mean, literally, it's going to grind education to a halt. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, this is to me so obvious. What if some teachers really don't want to write narratives? What if they're not good at writing a narrative? For example, I had a math teacher. He was a great math teacher, but English was his second language. He was French Canadian. So his writing skills were not that good. Not his fault. He was a great math teacher, but writing was just not one of his strong suits. So we're going to have some teachers who can write good narratives, which will favor some students, and then other teachers who write, for whatever reason, can't write a good narrative, and that's going to disfavor those students. And then, finally, who the hell has the time to read all of these silly narratives? You are there to be judged on your performance in school and on your mastery of the material. And if you're a real master, you get an A. If you're really pretty good, but you're a B. If you're just okay, you're a C. If you got problems, it's a D. And if you don't know your stuff, it's an F. You know what this is? They don't want to give an F. They don't even want to give a C or a D. It's about the students' feelings and coddling their self-esteem and making them feel wonderful all on the inside. If they go through with this experiment, I am telling you, it is going to destroy higher education. This is, you want to talk about insanity? This is it. I don't want narratives. I want grades. 617-266-6868. Let me ask you all of this. Okay, let me ask you this question. Should we get rid of the A to F grading system and replace it with personal narratives on each student? And to the teachers out there, will you even have the time to do this? 617-266-6868. Becky, you're up first. Go ahead, Becky.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I taught for many years. I taught in public and private. I was an English teacher. And to give a personal narrative for each student when you have 126 students, absolutely impossible. When I taught in the private sector, we still had, the A to F grade, but we did give really good notes on the kids. And that would take me, for 16 students, that would take me 2.5 hours, because you were really pouring into it. You could never do that in a public school. And in some schools in the state, they've already gone from the A to F to a 1 to 4, 4 being, your above grade level. And everyone just interprets it as an A to an F. They play these games. Someone must be making money. And they do experiments on our children that wreak havoc in our society. And
Becky, I'm just curious, as an educator, as a former teacher, what is wrong? I mean, Becky, am I missing something? Sure, I didn't like it when I got a B or a C, and it made me want to study harder so I can get an A. But what's wrong with, the A to F grading system? Like, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing. And what people try to fool kids, and this self-esteem you were just talking about, kids know when people are lying to them. They don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be told they're good at something they're not good at. They look at you and they're like, you're a fraud. Tell me if I'm doing well or if I'm not doing well. It's these people who think that giving everyone a trophy for being the best, they're really just lying to kids, and kids just throw the trophy away because it doesn't mean anything. And A to F, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think I really ever gave out that many Fs as a final grade. It was more they might fail a quiz or something, but then they would come back and we would work on it and they would bring it up. It wasn't just to say, you're a failure. That's it. It's no, you need to work more on this. Am I doing something wrong? Let me help you. We'll work together and we'll figure this out.
Becky, thank you very much for that call.
You're very welcome.
Really good. Thank you very much. Really good call. 617-266-6868. Here, okay? Here, let's just flip it. Just for a second. Indulge me. So, we're going to get hit a little bit, I think, with Jose. Correct, Brittany? Hurricane Jose? Just a little bit?
Just a little bit of rain, yeah.
Okay, a little bit of rain. You've got Hurricane Maria now, which is hammering Puerto Rico. Okay, we had Irma, we had Hurricane Harvey. What if we got rid of, the category system for hurricanes? Well, really, I'm serious. Category 5, that's offensive. Well, really, I mean, Category 5, the strongest hurricane. Well, come on now. What do you mean by strongest hurricane? Sure, it flattened Barbuda. Yes, it's blowing roofs off of houses. But, the cone is shaped beautifully. Oh, look at the way it looks on satellite pictures. It's got a lot to recommend it. And then let's say a Category 2 or a Category 3. Well, hold on now. Maybe it's not that strong. And, it's not going to blow your house apart. But on the other hand, hold on. Look at it. Look at the structure of the hurricane. Oh my God. I mean, it's so taut. It's perfect. It's when you look at it, it's almost like a ballet in the air. If I told you we're going to do categories, because it would offend people, you'd say, Jeff, you're crazy. Well, it's the same thing with grades. I need to know. Can you write? Can you read? Can you do math? Can you do physics, chemistry, biology? I need to know what you are as a person. I'm sure you're a very good person, but what does that have to do with whether you know your material? 617-266-6868. Molly in Attleboro. Go ahead, Molly.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, if I'm going in for major surgery, you know what? I don't want to know that my surgeon played well with others. I want to know that he got to where he is because he busted his butt and he knows his stuff. And he was an A-plus top of the class student. End of story. It just doesn't get any more simple than that. I appreciate this topic so much.
So, Molly, hold on. Let's say, well, that's more me than you, but let's say you have like open heart surgery,
Right.
Because I'm putting on a lot of weight, the blood pressure, the cholesterol. So they open me up, Molly. And the guy's like, Ooh, what is that? And then all of a sudden, it's like he jabs a scalpel in my heart. And all of a sudden, oh, and there I am. And he goes, oh, geez, I botched it. But hey, Jeff, they loved me in school. You should have seen how I got along with the teacher. I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care. You just killed me.
Absolutely. It's such a no-brainer question. And I'll tell you, Jeff, if that's the way that I was graded 20 years ago, I would be a surgeon today. There's got to be a bar. Okay,
Molly, I'd be a rocket scientist.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I would be chief of cardiology in the Boston Hospital. Okay, that's what I would be. There's got to be this country's gone crazy, and I just I'm doing the best with our children here, and I'm trying to hold the bar like we did when we were kids because it was good for us and the country.
It was. God bless you, Molly. No, I got to tell you honestly. You know what I tell the teachers? I don't want you to lower the standards for my kids. Like, please. I want the bar to be high. Like, don't make excuses for my kid. If my kid doesn't deserve an A, don't give my kid an A. And tell me why my kid's not getting an A, and I'll try it. Look, you don't get an A. It's not. I didn't get an A all the time in school. It's not the end of the world to get a B or a C or whatever. But I want you to try your best, and let's see where we can get the most out of you. Like, please, don't inflate the grades. Don't lower standards. Don't lower the bar. Please, I'm asking you. And if my kid's not doing homework, tell me right away. Because believe me, by tomorrow, they will. Okay, my friends, there is now a big push from many liberal educators. It's happening in California. It's going to come to Massachusetts in some private schools, not public, but so far only private schools. They will be getting rid of the A to F grading system and replace it with a personal narrative written by the teacher. Good idea, bad idea. Brittany.
Kuhner, I wish that this was going on before I went to college, because I would have been at Harvard.
Well, you know what? Speaking of Harvard, do we have an actual physician from Harvard? Really? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Dr. Creighton from Harvard. How are you, Dr. Creighton?
Well, I'm fine, and I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
But I just wanted to make the following comment because the joke that you made with the other caller about the quality of physicians being potentially problematic, well, it's actually true. It's been virtually impossible to evaluate young physicians in the Harvard system for about the last 20 years. So if you have individuals who are essentially incompetent, and believe it or not, there are individuals who get to the end of their training who are questionably competent. If you try to correct them, if you try to grade them, if you evaluate them or complain about them, you can expect to be sent to HR. So we're graduating people at this point. Some of them are quite good. Some of them are basically incompetent, but there's no system for evaluation.
Oh, my God. Doctor, I wish there was a video cam on me because as you were, this has almost never happened.
His face dropped.
My face dropped. My eyes almost popped out of my skull when I was listening to you. I got like tightness in my chest actually listening to you. Doctor, so how bad is it? I mean, when you're saying they're graduating some doctors that are incompetent.
I would say it's pretty bad for some people. There are still some very, very good young doctors, but there are some who are not. But, it's a homogeneity at this point of evaluation. There's no meritocracy anymore. And
like they don't use grades, doctor? They don't?
No.
No grades?
And, well, there are evaluations, but you're really not allowed to give a proper evaluation because you're then criticized for evaluating the individual properly. It is a major problem. If it's a problem here, it's probably a problem throughout the system. My advice in the future is don't get sick.
Oh my God, doctor! If you don't mind me asking, I mean, do these incompetent doctors get jobs? Like, are they?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
They do.
Not only do they get jobs, but they're sent out with glowing evaluations. There's no such thing as a bad trainee at this point. It's just not accepted.
Do you know where they're being sent? Everywhere?
Pretty much anywhere they want to go from Harvard. Pretty much anywhere they apply.
Anybody, like any of them in the Foxborough, Rentham area, Doctor?
Anywhere.
I'm being a little facetious. Wow.
I understand, but it is unfortunately true. So the idea of not grading at the public school level, well, it carries all the way through to the medical school level, and I'm sure to other forms of postgraduate education. It's a real problem.
Dr. Creighton, thank you so much for calling in, and thank you for your courage.
You're welcome.
God bless you, sir. Thank you. 617. Wow, geez, I'm telling you this, he's going to get a lot of flack from his colleagues. That for him, blowing the whistle like this, they're not going to be happy with him at Harvard. My chest is tight. It's literally tightening. I'm like, no, what do you mean they're doing this to doctors?
How do they get jobs if they have no idea what they're doing?
617-266-6868. Okay, let me ask you this. Should we get rid of the A to F grading system? I say hell no. What do you say? All of your calls. Next.
WRKO, the voice of Boston.
2:37 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. My friends, just another quick reminder, I have a fresh column up on WRKO.com. It really exposes Elizabeth Warren, chief spreading bull. It's called Confronting Elizabeth Warren, the question she fears most. It's going viral. Please go on RKO.com, read the column, pass it on to all of your friends. Okay. You can text us as always, 680-680. Jeff, regarding Dr. Creighton, what does a post-ganglionic nerve matter from a pre-ganglionic fiber amongst friends, right? Ay. This is from 774. Jeff, the doctor is right. I'm a visiting nurse, and it's the same thing here. You complain, and the union gets involved. 603. Jeff, another thought. Grades equal accountability. There's no more accountability in our society anymore, and look at the failing results. Let me throw, as I like to say, one more log on the fire, and then I want to take more calls. 617-266-6868. Now, as you know, and this disregards schools, so just bear with me. I just want to set it up properly for all of you. As you know, there is a heated Senate election race in Alabama to replace the seat vacated now by Jeff Sessions. And it is between the establishment Republican, Luther Strange, and the Trump conservative insurgent, Judge Roy Moore. Now, Mitch McConnell, through his PAC, the Senate Leadership Fund, is throwing millions and millions of dollars at Roy Moore. He's backing Luther Strange all the way. They are throwing millions and millions of dollars in negative ads to try to destroy the Trump insurgent Judge Roy Moore. It doesn't look like it's going to work because the Trump candidate, the judge, is leading by about 10 percentage points. Now, what does that have to do with schools? About a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, Judge Roy Moore, who is a devout Christian, gave a speech in which he said that since we've taken God out of the schools, since we've taken the 10 Commandments out of the schools, since we've taken prayer out of the schools have gotten infinitely worse. And not only that, but it's affected morality. I mean, in terms of public morality, shootings, drugs, crime, violence, he says is now up because we have taken out the very concept of right and wrong, good and evil from our schools. CNN apparently got the tape, and now Mitch McConnell and the establishment Republicans are in alliance with fake news, with CNN, to take out Judge Roy Moore. They fear that he will win the Alabama Senate race. Okay, now, let that go for a second. To me, it's again despicable. It shows you what traitors they are. But I want to go to the substance of his argument. And as I said this to both Brittany and Jared at our pre-show meeting, I said, look, I'm not saying, you got to say novenas in school. I'm not arguing for that. But just objectively, look at the 1950s, look at the 1960s, when there was prayer in school, when there was the Ten Commandments in school, when there was God in school. In other words, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, the sense of right and wrong, good and evil. Teachers in the 1950s and for the most part the 1960s, their biggest complaints about their students, public schools, elementary, high school, was chewing gum or talking in class. The more we've taken God out of the schools, religion out of the schools, prayer out of the schools, in other words, the more we've secularized our schools, look what's happened. Now the biggest complaint among teachers is crack cocaine, opiates, heroin, sniffing glue, gangs, guns, violence, STDs, syphilis, herpes. They've got metal detectors. You've got MS-13 gangbangers. In other words, by not teaching our children the basics of right and wrong, good and evil, moral absolutes, what we used to do in this country, and frankly, for most of our history and in Western culture going back hundreds and hundreds of years, there's no longer a sense of conscience, of morality being instilled among students. And so if you actually look at the schools, let's say over the last 30, 40 years, to me, just objectively looking at this, schools have gotten more violent. Students have become much more unruly. Drugs have proliferated. Gangs have proliferated. Loss of respect for authority and for the teachers it's everywhere. So is Judge Roy Moore right? We may not like it. We're not a religious region the way, let's say, the South is. We're not the Bible Belt. But by taking out God and taking out prayer and taking out the Ten Commandments, has drugs, violence, shootings filled the void? Has it damaged our students and damaged our moral fabric as a society? 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Dan in Woburn. You're up next. Go ahead, Dan.
Jeff, the liberals are doing what they do with just about every industry. They're doing is taking away objectivity and making it subjective. How do I feel today? I feel that Luther should get a mortgage even though he has 15 credit cards that he hasn't paid because that's redlining and predatory lending. So we have to give him that mortgage even though he's never paid a bill in his life. Little Johnny, well, he can't get 1 + 1, even though it's 8th grade, and he's holding everyone else back because we have the No Child Left Behind. And and the immigrant in the class, he still can't get 2 + 2, and we're in 9th grade, so we have to do basic arithmetic until everyone gets it. And then everybody will get a glowing A. They're dumbing down the standards, Jeff, and it's absolutely sickening what's going on.
Dan, you're completely right. 110% right.
Jeff, I'll tell you, there's a trial going on today in Boston with a company where we murdered 77 people. And the government was notified a year before that patients would die, and they chose to do nothing. And they're going to crucify this kid today after they let all the guys that they were given evidence off on the trial. It's sickening. Our society is crumbling, and it doesn't represent the America that I know.
Dan, forgive me. Dan, thank you for that call. Look, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I really believe this. I'm not making any friends when I say it, but I'm just going to be, if I'm not here to speak the truth as I see it, there's no point in me being behind the microphone. I believe when we took God out of the schools, society went to hell. I really do. I really believe that. I believe that there needs to be the transcendental nature of man. That the sense that you're going to be morally accountable for your actions. And the famous Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky once famously said, once you remove God, everything becomes permissible. Everything. Even murder. And I think that's what we're seeing. And look, I'm not saying everything was great in the 50s, or everything was great in the 60s, or everything was great in the 1980s, but it's so obvious. The trend, look, schools have gotten worse. They just have. Ask the teachers. Ask teachers who, taught for 30, 35 years. How was it when you first started compared to now? The behavior of the students, the respect of the students towards you, what they learn in the classroom, how they behave. Has it gotten worse or has it gotten better? Almost to a man and woman, they'll tell you, it's gotten worse. The violence has gotten worse. The drugs has gotten worse. The crimes everything's gotten worse. And so now, instead of saying, oops, we've made a mistake, now it's, don't grade them. No, now it's no. Well, and by the way, we would never do this, let's say, I don't know, for professional sports, for entertainment. We would never do this. Here, Jared is a huge hockey fan. Jared's dream is to be the goalie for the Boston Bruins. You think the Bruins would accept Jared becoming a goalie? If they said, hey, Jared, well, he can't stop a puck. He doesn't have the arm strength to be a goalie. But Jared's a great guy. Oh, he got along so well with his teammates. Oh, he's a great guy in the locker room. You think the Bruins would care? Here, honestly, I'd love to be an NFL quarterback. I'd love it. I can't throw for, my arm is not worth a hill of beans. Do you think Kraft and Belichick would say, well, Kuhner, say what you want about Kuhner. The guy's a barrel of laughs. Great guy. Oh, phenomenal social skills. Oh, he can spin a yarn. Well, who cares? He can't throw. He can't play. Full stop. So why is it now okay for our students to be given a, quote, personal narrative? No. Can you read? Can you write? Can you do basic arithmetic? Do you know your hard sciences? Do you know what you're being taught? Yes or no? You may be a great person. That's not going to do much for you on the workforce and in life. I hate to say that. 617, but it's true. 617-266-6868 is the number. Bradley in Haverhill. Go ahead, Bradley.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Kuhner?
I'm good. Please, I get very nervous when you call me Mr. Kuhner. I'm not that important, Bradley.
All right, Jeff.
Call me Jeff, please.
All right. Listen, you are an educator, correct?
In theory, yes.
Yes. Well, you are and were, or whatever.
Yes, in theory.
I'm sure you helped your children with their homework.
Yes. In fact, I was helping Ashton last night with his math.
Yes. You don't give them the answer, but you give them some sort of structure to find the answer.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm 57. I think I'm a little bit older than you.
Yes, by 9 years.
So this is what is happening in the world. As a HR person or whatever, everything that they screamed for, they've gotten. Everything has been dumbed down. Everything. And this is why the workforce today is awash with people who cannot figure out the road from A to B.
Bradley, I think you're dead on. I think, look, what you're seeing, and it's not today, not last week, it's a process. It takes time. It takes decades. But I would say over the last 20, 25 years, you are slowly seeing the dumbing down of America. We're lowering our educational standards. Notice now with kids today, it's all self-esteem. It's not objectively how well do you perform. It's their feelings. Are they sensitive? are they being affirmed as human beings? That's why, by the way, on college campuses, we've created these monsters. Now, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear anything that destroys my worldview. I don't want to be challenged because it's all about fostering their feelings. You see, we're coddling them. And what you're doing is you're almost rearing a generation of idiots. And so you're seeing it in education. Honestly, you're seeing it in our media. I'm not trying to glamorize the old days, but look at CNN. No, really, look at MS Left BC. Frankly, look at many of the hosts even on Fox. You ask yourself. I mean, they got nothing between their ears. You look at our politicians. It's the dumbing down of America. You know, you've got Jean Shaheen going on CNN and actually telling CNN that the dreamers, the border jumpers, okay, the DACA recipients, those that were shouting down Nancy Pelosi, you know why? Because Vladimir Putin put them up to it. The Russians were behind it. The woman's a freaking moron. She's dumb as a brick. And she's one of the 2 senators from New Hampshire. Are you kidding me? That's the dumbing down of America. Okay, speaking of the dumbing down of our education system, you can text us 680-680. This is from 978. Jeff, I swear to you, went to Santa's Village in July, bought lunch. Cashier was about 19 years old. I asked. The meal came to $45.32. I gave her a $50 bill. She punched it into the register, and it told her the change to give back. She could count the bills, but couldn't do the coins. She got flustered, red-faced. That's happened to me so many times now, where I will give money. I hate to say this, many of them are millennials. They can't, the proper change. They don't know how to subtract. They don't know how to do basic adding and subtraction, addition and subtraction. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's sad. Ron in Walpole. Go ahead, Ron.
Loonies and toonies.
Ron, go ahead. Shoot. The floor is yours.
Okay. They must have been using loonies and toonies to count that change, number one. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyways, in Walpole, they proposed no grades, pass or fail, a year ago. Wow. Okay, the school superintendent makes $192,000 a year. He just gave himself a raise. This is how brilliant the guy is, and he takes and proposes pass or fail.
That's it.
No grades.
No grade. Just nothing. Just pass or fail. That's it.
Pass or fail, no grade. Okay, and people of Walpole went nuts, and he pulled it back.
Ron, ay.
I'm telling you, it's getting bad. They're starting to, the lefties are running everything.
That's why we got to stop them, my friends. We got to stand up to them now before it's too late. Jim in Lowell, I've got 1 minute. Go, Jim.
Hello, Jeff, and God bless you.
Thank you, Jim.
About this personal narrative thing, hey, that's a perfect excuse to evaluate the kid as to whether or not he has conservative parents or liberal, and especially when it comes to the sex education course. We're talking about primary schools now here. But at any rate, that is going to be used to set their course in life as to what they're going to expect in further education.
See, Jim, I didn't even think about that. You're completely right. It's a form of spying, because they're going to write page after page after page about all sorts of things about the student. You'll know the student's political beliefs, whatever. They participate in sex education, just whatever their opinions are. It's nobody's business. I gotta go. Bye-bye.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 3 o'clock.